Chairman's report. Rotarian John.
Hello, everyone. See, today we have birthday, Mr. John Thompson. It's tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow, 71.
Happy birthday. November birthdays, anniversaries. Are there any guests? Anybody have any guests with them? Any guests? Robert, you had a birthday?
You announced it.
Okay. Happy birthday again, Robert.
Yeah, we don't want to miss nobody. Thank you.
Robert turned 30.
Yeah.
It was a big wish.
30.
We
He hit the big 4-0. He hit the big.
We all wish. Any visiting Rotarian? Visiting Rotarian? You know, dude, I just want to, I want to thank the work team that went out last week. I know Chris and all your efforts to get those people together, whoever was involved in that. That's some really good stuff. We appreciate it. And anybody who's going to help in the future, I'm sure we're not done with that problem. Having a great meeting down over there. So just today, just to leave you with it's National I Love Food Day. No, so eat your favorite food today when you leave here.
All right. Thank you very much, John. Our Rotary education today, as we start every meeting with, is the international responsibilities of a Rotarian. What are our responsibilities to consider? Because as we all know, we have Rotary clubs in many of the communities all across the country, but it's all Rotary International is all over the world. So as we partake and want to continue to improve our communities, what is our responsibility as Rotarians to help that from an international perspective? As an international organization, Rotary offers each member unique opportunities and responsibilities. Although each Rotarian has first responsibility to uphold the obligations of citizenship of his or her own country, membership in Rotary enables Rotarians to take a somewhat different view of international affairs. It was actually in the early 1950s, a Rotary philosophy was adopted to describe how Rotary may think on a global basis. Here's what it said. A world-minded Rotarian looks beyond national patriotism and considers himself or herself as sharing responsibility for the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace. Resist any tendency to act in terms of national or racial superiority. Seeks and develops common grounds for agreement with peoples of other lands. Defends the rule of law and order to preserve the liberty of the individual so that he may enjoy freedom of thought, speech, and assembly, and freedom from persecution, aggression, want, and fear. Supports action directed toward improving standards of living of all peoples, realizing the poverty anywhere endangers prosperity everywhere. Upholds and the principles of justice for mankind, strives always to promote peace between nations, and prepares to make personal sacrifices for that ideal, and urges and practices a spirit of understanding of every other man or woman's beliefs as a step toward international goodwill, recognizing that there are certain basic moral and spiritual standards which will ensure a richer, fuller life. Now, that is quite an assignment for any Rotarian to practice in thoughts and action. So I can share that with you if you like, but please keep that in your thoughts. Thank you all so much. So at your table, as District Governor Connector, that's for the month of September. Please take it with you. I can make extra copies if we don't have enough. I will also email it to you guys this evening. There's some good information in there. You will also see the September auction item for the Rotary District, which they're doing each month, as we've communicated. The oral painting is Texas A&M football. It honors the SEC football powerhouse. Bidding will begin on Tuesday, September 1st, which was last week, at 8 a.m. and will close on Wednesday, September 30th at 3 p.m. On the second page. Also, if you flip through the connector, you will see, actually, if you haven't seen it before, a picture of our shower trailer sitting right there on page 5, I think it is. The Sulphur Club, and in conjunction with the Rotary Club of Abbeville, delivered a shower trailer to Sulphur. We did that a couple of weeks ago. Jake Kavanaugh actually came and picked it up. This trailer will allow the first responders helping hurricane relief efforts to have a hot shower during this time of great need. And it can't keep up. Can't keep up. So they actually were looking for more. And certainly very interested, the district is, in having an additional. And you can continue and see different people of action, Rotary clubs helping with supplies and preparations for the hurricane victims. I'm going to pass this sheet around again. The first one is for hurricane relief funding, the different ways that we can, as Rotarians, help. There's four different ways here. The first one is supply donation. Again, we will continue getting supplies from the community, which will be dropped off in the 6 different locations across the parish and in Abbeville. And we will bring those supplies wherever they need. We understand that there are great needs here in our very own parish with many families. I'm getting a lot of communications and help. I've been working with the Harvest group, Christian Service Center. Actually, the day before, that was the day of the wedding. No, the day after the wedding. Saturday, we went and delivered a huge supply of food to a family in great need south of Iraq in Delta. Living in a camper that flooded and is almost practically inhabitable. Living out of the ice chest, but we bought them food and items necessary to keep them going for a while. They have other families of great need in our parish, also as you go south towards the Con Island area. There are also people of great need that are in our hotels. So I actually have a truckload of clothes, full truckload, which we got from Lake Charles to give back to people in Remain Parish. So I will be dropping that off at the hotels or working with Glenn or getting it to the Ark or wherever it needs to go this afternoon. So we're helping as many people across the parish. But let me tell you, for those of you who were there this weekend, please stand. I don't know if I can tell you the story without getting emotional. So I may just allow you to see it for your firsthand. But let me tell you, the need is real. It is very, very real. You don't see it on the news. There are no shelters for these people to go to because it wasn't open because of COVID. There are ways to follow those guidelines and until manage appropriately, but it was not done. And it's still needed. People living in cars, people living in tents on the beach of Lake Charles, people living in tents on Rutherford Beach, people sleeping in the parking lots, and this is real. So we need to continue to assist all those in need, of course, and we will do so. We're obligated to do so. So I'm going to pass this around. Again, supply donation, pick just one. That's all we ask is that every Rotarian help with at least just one thing. And I know some of you weren't here last week, and that's all okay. I will reach out. Supply donation, either a dollar amount or bring some supplies to one of our 6 drop sites. Check that out, okay? Meal prep, we will continue to do that. We want to prep for here. We want to prep for other areas. So we went to Greater Lake Charles, but there's DeRidder, there's DeQuincy, there's Welch, there's Sulphur. There's many areas that are still in great need. And crew cleanup, crew help, if someone wants to do that and offer that service, or raffle tickets. I'll let Rob talk about that in a second if you want to. We're working directly with Brian Campbell to offer a raffle in which it's a Disney trip for a week in the Christmas season of 2021, Thanksgiving and Christmas season, that you can purchase a chance for $25. One chance for $25 or 5 chances for $100. You can choose that. Your money will be directed to Rotary 6200 District Foundation. We're working with Yvonne and Frank to make sure that happens. And the funds for that will be distributed and utilized in the Rotary clubs of the area affected by Hurricane Laura. So that way we know that those monetary funds will be used appropriately at the appropriate time. So we're passing that around. With that being said, I haven't even talked to Rob and the rest of the group yet, but Lisa said we're going back Saturday, somewhere. I said, okay, we're going. So she wants to cook a spaghetti, a large spaghetti in a crawfish pot, large noodles, and get some plate lunches, and just go somewhere and serve as many as we possibly can. So if anybody is interested in wanting to come Saturday, on the sign-up sheet, just write a check mark with Saturday, and I'll contact you. We're going to look for donations. We're going to just do ground meat, spaghetti sauce, noodles, and bread. I really like the garlic bread from Rapids that you guys make and cut up. But we are going to do that Saturday. So if anybody wants to participate, just let me know.
Chris.
Yes.
You know, I've traveled north of Lake Charles, south, and so forth over the last week, and you know, Lake Charles is getting a lot of help. But I'm going to tell you, the outlying area, you mentioned DeQuincy's, they are wiped out.
Yes, sir.
So it may be something that we could get some supplies in the outer areas.
Yes, sir. We got some supplies for in Rob's warehouse and in the trailer. I'm going to bring it with me this Saturday. So whatever we have, we're going to bring it. Whatever we're actually for an assessment needs at the hotels for the refugees that are here. And if there's specific items that they need and we have, we're going to bring to them first as well too. So you're correct. Is the outer areas that really need help. So another way for donation of time, there is a company called BRQ. They help. Don't ask me what the acronym means. Barbecue something.
I think it's a restaurant out of Baton Rouge.
It's out of Baton Rouge. They distribute 25,000 to 30,000 meals a day. So they're asking for volunteers, people to drive and deliver. We actually saw them across the street from where we were preparing our food. They bring hundreds and hundreds of prepackaged plate lunches. I don't think it's hot food, or because, but it's food, and it's something for them. So that's another way for us to give back. I can tell you they were very appreciative of the hot food. Rob, you slaved over that pit. You and Gary Thibodeau, he's not here. And to cook leg quarters, Jim, it was good, but it takes a long time to cook. But anyway, it was great. I'm going to also passing this around. We can get that started again. We talked about that last week. This is for the Cattle Festival fundraiser that they were having here at the Red Barn on September 23rd. We need volunteers to help them. They have a team and a crew that's going to cook a jambalaya. We need volunteers to help plate and serve as people drive to pick up. It will be September 23rd, so that's a Wednesday. We will have our noon meeting at from 11 to 12 there at the Red Barn. That will be your meal for that particular day. So we're passing the sheet around. On the sheet, the first column is if you would like to purchase any extra meals besides your own, for your workers or whichever, write a number down there, and we will bill you on your quarterly invoice for those meals. The second column is to volunteer. Any of us who want to come early to help do some prep, make the meals, and then even work and deliver. They're going to be delivering from 11 to 1 as the people come and pick up. I do have some tickets. Rob has tickets at his shop, and they're also selling tickets every day at the Red Barn from 8 to 12 in the office, if anybody is interested in purchasing. Okay?
Chris,
And, yep.
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused about the number of extra tickets. So are we getting, or is the Rotarians going to get tickets, and these we have to purchase extra ones?
If you want to purchase something for your business, in other words, your meals, just like you'd be coming here,
Okay.
will be there for you at the Red Barn. But let's say you wanted to buy extra meals for all your employees, then that's what you want to do.
And we'll deliver it to your place. Any questions on the sign-up sheets or the raffle? Rob, do you want to explain anything more on the raffle?
We're going to have some more information on it probably about Monday. Me and Don have been working on the tickets, and I actually have a Zoom meeting with all the club presidents in the district tomorrow night at 6. So once everything's finalized, we'll get back to y'all with some more information.
Our after-hours meeting is this evening. Instead of at Bradshaw's of Hardware in Maurice, it's going to be at Atwell Electric Conference Room across the street at the old lumber yard at 6:30. Anyone who's willing and wanting to attend. Okay? Any questions? I'll be glad to talk to you after the meeting if you want to hear any stories or what's going on, or give me any suggestions or any feedback or what you're hearing in the community or what is needed. We want to impact and give back and assist as many as appropriate. Yes? Brady?
I'll use the analogy that to go fishing, it's not how far you have to go. And sometimes you pass up the fish before you get 200 miles offshore. We have a crisis in our town and all the towns around us with the motels filled with people who lost everything their own.
Yes.
So anything we can do for our local problem, I think is good for a local Rotary club. These people are also the forgotten people living in tents on the beach. So I shared your phone number for people that have contacted me. What can we do to help the people in our motels?
Yep.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is a plan to go cook.
Yes.
We're actually going to take the cook trail and set up at the hotel and cook and give meals. We just haven't set a date with Lynn yet because they have several people that have volunteered to do so, and we don't want to cross over that. So that is coming. Very, very good
Should
point.
be within the next
Exactly
2
where I'm
weeks.
going.
In the next 2 weeks, we'll be
Absolutely. Very, very good point, and exactly what I'm mentioning, that we need to take all into consideration of our people here and all of those in need. So appreciate that. Glenn?
I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I understand they're housing a lot of people in New Orleans and Baton Rouge hotels. And I'm assuming they're getting reimbursed for that. What about the people here in the hotels? Are they getting financial help?
I don't know the answer to that question. That's a good question, though. And
I know the state's supposed to have contracts with the hotels in New Orleans and Baton Rouge. And why don't they do here?
I don't know if there would be. We can definitely find that out. Okay. All right. Paul will present, and then after the meeting, we can sit and chat.
Oh, I like your shirt, man.
But,
Fancy shirt, man. That's a different, I don't care shirt.
Well, again, it's always a pleasure to stand up here. Let's make sure I get through it the whole time today, okay? Today, it's a very, very good pleasure to be able to introduce to y'all Zac Dubois. This young gentleman he's my idol already, okay? Because I grew up fishing from the time I could walk till now, and I'm still fishing. But I never learned how to make any money doing it. So this guy has, all right? Zach has been a lifelong citizen of Kaplan, graduated Kaplan High. His parents are Darren and Eve Dubois. And they're also lifelong citizens of Kaplan and the Dominion Parish. He met his wife, Carla, while attending UL Lafayette, and they have been married for 3 years. Now, we won't hold that against you if you didn't go to that shoot. That's okay. All right. Yeah, he has a bachelor's degree in industrial design from UL Lafayette. While there, he was a member of the Raging Cajun bass fishing team. Now, why didn't they have a soccer team or something like that when I was in school? Because I kept going from school to school because they would all ask me to leave. So anyway.
You can captain of the hardhead team.
Yeah.
Because you're an LSU and not USL, right?
So anyway, when she started his dream of working in the fishing industry, and definitely he has done that. He stepped up to the plate. He has combined his love for fishing and manufacturing knowledge from his degree to create and grow his company he owns and operates today, Cajun Lures. And by the way, they're sold locally, and some of his products are right here down in Perry. I know for sure for a fact of that because I bought something just a couple of weeks ago there just to try and see what I could do with it. But it's a great pleasure now that he's going to come up and he's going to tell us a little bit about what he does and then some of the secrets he's learned. Right? Maybe. But then just remember one thing, fishermen never tell the truth. Except maybe Martin might say. With that pleasure, we all please welcome back.
We got some free samples today, Zach.
How y'all doing?
All right.
I'm Zach. I brought me a paper because I'm a little ADD. And, well, Paul called me, I guess about a month or two ago, after he had saw my article in the newspaper, and he wanted to come tell my story. And I'm like, what story? I'm only 28 years old. I don't have a story. I have a millionaire success story. I'm just a hundredaire right now. So I figured maybe I'd just say how I got to where I'm at with my company and everything. So it really all started, I think, 2012 at the Bassmaster Classic in Shreveport. And I had always bass fished like with my dad and stuff. We have a camping fleet of Ben, but I never really knew the true, I guess, art to it and the technique to it. I would just go and I'd have him tie me on a bait or something, or he'd tell me what to throw or anything, and I'd go fishing with him. And he caught all the fish, and I would just catch a few, and that's just what I did for a long time. But I always liked to fish, you know. And this was like right when I graduated from high school. This is the beginning of my sophomore year, and kind of before I went to that classic, I remember my mom showed me an article that was in the newspaper of UL's bass team, how they went to the national championship, and I think that was in 2011. This is while I was attending UL, and I was like, wow, they have a bass fishing team? I said, I can't play football or baseball or anything, but I was like, I can maybe do that, you know? And this was still before I even was like even good at bass fishing, I guess, or even start to it. So at the Bassmaster Classic, we go, this is the first time, the Classic is like the Super Bowl of bass fishing. The whole industry is there, all the pro anglers, all the big money trucks and boats with the wraps and logos. It was an experience that seeing everything and being there, and just, I was like, wow, I want to, whether I'm going to be a pro angler or make lures, I want to be part of this somehow. I thought it was really cool. And so, anyways, go back to school after that weekend, I was like, wow, this is really cool. So from there, I always kept up with Bassmaster. I get the magazines and read and learn new techniques. And then I ended up joining the UL Bass team after that, after being at the Classic, and I was like, this is cool. So I called the people up who started the club, and I got on with them. And kind of at that point, I was all in. And so while I was going to UL, I was also going to school for industrial design, which is different from industrial technology. I was actually in the School of Arts. So what it really is kind of, I call it like glorified inventing in a way, because we would design concepts and solve problems of handmade products or any kind of products. It could be cars, handheld objects, phones, just anything. Even software, how the layout and design of software. And so we learned all of that, basically how to come up with a concept of a product and then follow it through so you get your final product, and then after that, how you manufacture it, how you get in the real world market, how do you make it, how do you market it to sell it. So, and we learned all the skills in between all of that. And so joining the bass team and kind of diving in head first with going to fish tournaments and realizing that it's not just about going to sit in the boat and drink a few beers and try to catch some fish. This was a little more fishing tournaments, was competition. You have 8 hours in the day. You got to go run to your best spot. You got to go practice. You got to figure out what color, what bait, what techniques the fish want to bite, and get your biggest spot fish, bass fish that you can catch in a tournament to win the tournament. And it was a pretty big eye opener for me, because I went first one thinking, oh, it's going to be fun, get to go fish and compete and represent the school. And then I go, and there's all these other boys. And at the time, this was when the college circuit really kind of just getting started. But there's all these other schools, and their schools paid for their boats and trucks and rafts and all. My goodness. And we showed up in a little 18-foot bass tractor, limping our way all the way up to Arkansas. And we get there and we fish, and it was fun. I still had a blast doing it, but I was like, yeah, definitely need to step our game up a little bit. But I realized that I need to step my game up fishing-wise. So kind of joined the team and doing more tournaments of fishing. And also, as I progressed into the design school, I kind of learned how to do more manufacturing techniques and all that. And so during that, it was always a mix of, I learned how to bass fish with a certain lure or a technique in reading bassmaster.com, and then I would go look up lures, and then I would also learn, and I'd see how they were made, or I'd kind of re-engineer them and think about how they could be manufactured, or how to improve them, or add this, add that. So I'd always tinker with baits and stuff too. And I think it was in my third year when I learned how to first 3D model, and then we also had access to 3D printers. And so I just did this little generic crawfish design on my computer, which that alone, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I actually made a 3D model of a fishing lure. And then I had my professor 3D print it for me, so I could print it and hold it in my hand. And, at least it wasn't the actual movable soft plastic that I used, but it was the bait, and I was like, wow, this is cool. Well, I wanted to actually be able to use it like you would a soft plastic bait, so then I researched how to make a mold and cast it and stuff, and that's where I learned how to, the first beginnings of how to do soft plastic lures. And so I did. I casted me a little silicone mold, and then one weekend we went to our camp, and I learned how to melt down old plastic, and my dad's got hundreds of pounds of soft plastic bait, so I melted some, the first go around, I melted them in my mom's microwave, and that didn't go so well. And so I had to find another way. And so I got it, and I shot the little mold, and then ultimately we tested out on the water. I remember being on our dock, and I fished with it, and I caught a bass. It wasn't a big bass, it was very small, but I was like, whoa, this actually worked. I created a product from concept from scratch that I wanted to, proof of concept to catch a fish on it, and it worked. So I was super pumped, and so I kind of dabbled all with that in that process. Well, fast forward to my senior year. So what I would do is kind of design my own little baits, and I would think I had this competitive edge when I go to the UL tournaments and stuff, because I was like, oh, these guys don't have what I have, But it didn't really help that much, but it made me feel better. So fast forward to my senior year, I ended up actually qualifying to be in. And so I entered the competition, got second place and all that, so I qualified to be in this class. But what this bootstrap in the beginning to the basic start of the business and launch and everything. And so going through that class, because even before I started I wanted to kind of go into business, because I thought business was interesting, but I just ended up finding this instead. So I always still had that business interest in the back of my mind. So this class was like my way of learning business, so it was fun to me. And so at the end of it, my little ice chest idea, everybody thought was pretty good, and they wanted me to pursue that. But when I realized I needed $250,000 and I was a broke college kid, it probably wasn't going to happen. And so anyway, I graduate, and I get a job working in Lafayette. And I was actually got a job in Lafayette working as a marine designer. We actually designed big aluminum crew boats that I built, like in Franklin and Jeanerette and all that, Golf Craft and Metal Shark and all that. And I got that job because my senior project was actually, I designed my own bass boat because I enjoy bass fishing. So that was my whole project. I got to work with skier boats for that. And so that kind of actually led me into my first job. So I get a job, and so, I go to work every day. So I graduated, got my job not long after, so I'm like, oh, I can start my life with my career, So I go to work, and I get home every day, and then that's how I was living with my parents and stuff, and I would just go home and play PlayStation and do boring stuff, I was like, I wanted to do something else, and then I would always make little baits, but I would just make them here and there, I wasn't getting too crazy with it. But, so finally one day I just had the idea. I was like, well, I learned how to do a business. Like, I want to start a little business. It don't have to be nothing crazy, just something. So I decided to do fishing lures because I thought, well, I can make some cool baits, People might use them. And so I started doing that, got an LLC and everything, and pretty much started from there. I brought a few with me. I started pretty small with some little aluminum molds like this, and then I actually had like Presto pots that I would heat up the plastic in, and I would suck them up with these big manufactured syringes and then inject them into the molds like this, and I do it basically by hand. And so when I started, I would do that for a long time, and then I'd go to work, and I'd come back, and I'd work from 5 o'clock, and next thing I know, we finished at 12 o'clock at night in my dad's shed, which he didn't have any air conditioner or any ventilation. So it was kind of a good thing OSHA never came. It would have been bad. But so it kind of grew a little bit, and I was always busy, but I do it, I always say, oh, it'd be cool one day I could do this all day, 8 hours in a day. I get so many baits done, and I can sell them and sell more, That was always the big dream. So anyway, we get married, and married Kayla, and then we got a little house, and then where our house was, I had like this small 12 by 16 little closet, I call it, and me and my dad fixed it out with ventilation and AC, so I could kind of work comfortably when I needed. And that was fine at first, and the business kind of kept growing and growing, and it really grew through a lot of social media. When I first started, I thought the best thing would be for me to maybe start a website, and I could start selling directly there, help get the name out, and that helped through the social media, Instagram and stuff. See, and it was, for me, I felt like I was on top of that at my age at that time. And then now, with all the social media platforms nowadays, like my younger sister's 10 years younger than me, and now all the stuff going on social media, I feel like I'm out of touch. So, anyway, so I kind of really harnessed all of that, and that's what helped grow the business over time. So, fixed up my new little shop, and I was doing that, and like I said, I always thought I could, if I had a full time, if I do it full time, I can get more done. That was kind of the goal, but. So anyway, I always said, well, I'll just wait till I can make plenty enough money as well making that work, and then I'll do it full time, all that. That's just the big dream. So anyway, get married, work for about 2 weeks. Well, the Monday I go into work, the boss says, well, gotta let you go. I'm like, okay. And this is kind of at the time when the oil field was kind of on that bottom end, and then it kind of finally trickled down to the whole do to try to make any kind of income. So basically the next morning I woke up, I went to my shop, and it was a weird feeling because I always thought, you know, I was used to getting home after work after 5 and starting. And I was like, I can start now in the morning at 8 o'clock. It's weird. So I just went in and made a few baits, but I didn't have like any crazy orders, so I was like, what do I do? So I just started calling tractor stores and anybody that I knew that morning. And yeah, they were, you know, some of them were like, no, we don't want one. Some of them were like, yeah, we'd love to have them. And it just kind of, I just basically just started hustling from there, trying to figure out how I can sling fishing lures all over the place. And so that kind of grew and grew. And so now I started doing it full time. And I used to think, well, man, I wish I had a full day to do baits. So now I have a full day to do baits, and it's still not enough time to get everything done. So, and kind of doing it full time was really where the business, the true, I say business side too, really kicked in, where you have to learn about sales taxes. I have to pay an excise tax, it's called, and just all kinds of different, you know, business concepts of how to run it and how to manage it. And that's ultimately, sometimes it's a headache, but at the end of the day, it's always worth it. So, but that's kind of where I'm at today. If you have any questions about anything?
That's some interesting thing in here.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to show. Forgot to show that. So I graduated from those smaller molds to some slightly medium-sized molds, I guess. And so now now I have a machine. I can shoot molds this size now, and show you what it looks like on the inside. And that was another big learning lesson. So I got this in the last year and a half. I got a business loan. That was the first time I did that to basically get this machine to increase my volume and my output, get bigger molds, because it was a much needed thing to happen, because I was always 3 weeks behind, and in the world of fishing lures, everybody caught fish last weekend, so they weren't doing stuff. So being 3 weeks behind didn't help any cause. So anyway, you know, now I can increase my production with bigger molds and a bigger machine. And then currently, my problem is I increase my output and have more equipment and more stuff, but my shop space never grew. So I'm still in my little 12 by 16 closet, but this fall I'm building a bigger shed behind my house, and that's gonna, I'm excited just to have more space to be able to at least run around. And because even when I have friends or anybody trying to help me, we're squeezing around like this and around in there. So, and then this is how they look when they come straight out the mold, just like that. And we'll pluck them off the little mold trees there, and I'll put sin on them to make them stink. And my wife doesn't like that, but she wants stinky fish on them. So.
How many different types do you have as far as the different molds, and how many stores are you set up in? Is it just local?
I have now somewhere between 40 and 50 retail locations that carry them, and then I sell plenty online, so I'm always busy between those. I have probably, in my opinion, too many different types of fishing lures nowadays, because you have to make every single color, and you know, everybody wants this color, that color, and of course they always have the colors that you don't sell, and so I have to make probably 20 different designs and 20 different colors, so it can be a headache a lot of the time, but that's fishing.
Jim, have you been able to crack the market of some of the pros? I know there's so much money in the Bass Pro circuit. Have you been able to get some of the other pros to use your lures?
Yeah, and it's funny because like whenever I was all bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, first in the industry, I thought, oh, these guys are like Tiger Woods fishing. And just by doing it, I actually like become good friends with a lot of them, and like I can call them anytime and talk to them and stuff, and a lot of them actually just, I don't give them anything, they buy them from me and they use them and they like them, and which I think is funny, because you know, usually the kind of the notion that, oh, you get sponsorship, either paying money, just like any pro athlete, you know, but they're like, no, I'm gonna buy them, I want 100 of them, and this, that, the definitely, it's kind of, I basically was on every side of it. I was, a fan of the sport to now I'm a competitor and trying to do tournaments and be a pro angler myself, but now I'm in the business side of it. So, kind of pretty neat to see every side of it.
What do you use to color each one of the lures? Is it like food coloring or what is it, a special commercial kind of coloring or what?
Yeah, it's a coloring dye. It's actually the same material that they make in t-shirts. They print t-shirts, so the same exact material, except I had glitter and pearl powders, and there's different materials to make them look certain ways. But the plastic will start out cold, like it looks like milk. If I was to take that plastic and heat it up by itself, it would come out crystal clear. So I have recipes basically for every single color that I make to give this one, a purple color or a green or a red, and all half flakes, because there's a lot of science in, like this might actually look purple to you on the outside. When you put it in water and sunlight hits it and reflects it, it actually looks a different way. So that's, and that comes from the natural fishing experience that I have.
What do you think is more important, the actual design of the lure or the color of the lure? Because I've been fishing with different people. They'll take the same lure and they got 15 different colors of the same damn lure. And then I got some guys I've gone fishing with, they got one lure, but they got 100 of the same color.
That's the $1 million question, really. But I always try to pretty much break it down. To me, in my personal opinion, the action, it's a close first and second. Ultimately, the action will always get a fish to react to it and want to bite it, whether it's hungry or it's not. But a color acts as like the profile shade to it, or it could look natural to where I want to get them to eat it. But to me, if you could put something that's just solid white, like for redfish in the marsh, they use solid white bait. I mean, what in nature looks solid white? Nothing, but the action is what gets the redfish to look, and they go after it and they just eat it because that's how they react to it. So all around, I think the action first is what plays into it to make a good bait. But then the color choices is a close second, and third, the scent for sure. That's the top. That's my tier breakdown. What I think makes a good bait.
Gotcha.
All right. How do you make it stink?
I got some scent. Well, it's not that much of a secret. I mean, it's just some stinky oil that I have, and I put them in some Tupperware containers. I shake them up like fry batter. The only thing is that they stink really bad. Yeah. But naturally the scent makes a good, that's what you want. You don't want it to smell like plastic. The fish will recognize that real plastic smell. But I laugh is when I go to like a trade show or anything, and people grab a pack off the peg. The first thing they do is they open it up and they smell it. And every time they do that, open, they go, they're like, yeah. So can't not put scent on it.
You don't put the scent in the mold, you put the scent afterwards, huh?
Yeah, I put it in afterwards. It just helps stay on. And they'll absorb it, so even after, I've had baits that I've taken out of the bag, I fish with them for even a long time, and even being in the water a lot, you still smell it on them. So it's not really nothing